I first learned about alpha when I was 18 or 19. Because when I wanted to become a prefect of the school, this term came up with my friends. And I was thinking, well, should I become a prefect? Because there's a lot of work in our school to become a prefect. And loads of responsibility. In fact, you become a senior prefect and the top board, we call it head prefects and the deputy, etc. After the A-levels, it's a full-time job in the school. And I've seen patterns after patterns. The top board is means the head prefect, the deputy head prefect, the supervisor, there's 7 people, all always end up in top positions in the country or somewhere in the world, or they run their own businesses. So, and then when you are age 14, 15, 16, we're talking about this whole alpha term. And I remember one of our Pandit, a friend, who actually became a professor later on in a university in the US. And he said this alpha thing come from gorillas, and this gorilla, they have this one alpha, and he dominated the entire the gorilla community, and he lead them. So drawn into that. Okay, so can I become an alpha? Can I create myself an alpha? Or am I just born as an alpha? It's a very, very curious thing for me to know. To tell you the truth, the whole burning desire and the want I had to become an alpha. So I actually projected that positively and negatively since I was a teenager. Negatively, I had a gang. I formed a gang. And so we wanted to basically suppress where we go. We don't want to see any dominant characters. We just challenge that, whether it's in the school or out of the school or in the tuition classes or wherever we go. We play havoc. And later on, our teachers being great teachers, they're absolutely experts, and they've seen these patterns. So they picked me and made me the sectional leader. This term is new. It's only our school has this. So they made me the sectional leader, meaning they're not the monitor of the class, but we have about 7 or 8 classes, so you are the leader of the entire section. The moment they made me the leader, I was super composed, extremely disciplined, and I showed no negative or no bad behavior afterwards. I was not a naughty boy afterwards. That brings me, this whole alpha thing is actually a driving force that you have that needs to be channeled correctly.
Nelson Mandela is cheering along with the whole of the stadium.
I do not see. It is this unseen power which makes itself felt and yet defies all truth.
So why is it important to identify this driving force and harness someone, cultivate someone, and to become an alpha? Because it's the time that we are living in. It's a difficult time that we're living in. Let me bring that quote. Difficult time creates strong men. Strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men. And weak men bring back difficult times. So we are in difficult times now. So that's why it's absolutely important that we identify who can actually lead the society, be leaders, develop the masculinity, identify those who have alpha driving force, and channel it positively for a society, for a country, for a company, for a house, for a family is absolutely important, because these are the people who are going to take forward in difficult times. Now, what is alpha? What is masculinity? It's simply power, energy, authority, and responsibility, an ability to take a beating and go forward through these difficult times, and giving the hope, creating the certainty, and bringing a certain result. And that's what I mean by becoming alpha male. So that brings me to the principle number 1, expressing masculinity. Now, first of all, you need to understand the differences between feminine and masculine energy. Now, we all have feminine and masculine energy, regardless of your gender. It's just that men have more masculine energy and female have more feminine energy. It's very clear. But this also society seem to be pointing or kind of giving unnecessary prominence and try to teach a bullshit concept that men have to be really soft and mellow and too sensitive. And I have this thing like, okay, if you don't feel like it, don't do this, all sorts of rubbish. Like, the thing is, guys, if you want to become a great leader alpha, expressing masculinity, number one thing is that we're not going to do things that when you feel like it. We have to do it because it's right, because it's our responsibility. If there's something happen in your house, let's say for instance, a thief break into your house, and of course you have to call the police, and you're in a situation that you can't do anything else but you have to fight. But are you going to send the woman in the house to fight with the enemy or the man in the house? I'm sure men and women both will say the man in the house. It's a very obvious answer, isn't it? That's why, so we have a position, isn't it? Biologically, psychologically, we have our preferred position. Men and women, we have preferred position. But however, our society, especially I see is a problem in subcontinent as well, because our men as well as women are being brought up by our parents, mostly by our mothers and our grandmothers, and they spoil them most of the time. And they don't understand this is a beast, and they try to make him like a mellow butterfly or something, right? So you need to understand, okay, this is a man. This little boy can be sweet and cute right now, but this is a man. When he's expressing that, you need to love it, right? Let him bleed, let him fall, let him cry a little bit, let him go through some sort of pain which probably caused him by himself, and let him handle by himself. Don't try to fix it. So this is where our masculinity has got actually a lot of damage by society, because we, society as well as our cultural attributes, we try to slow him down, and you put lots of regulations that don't go here, don't wet yourself in the rain, and all sorts of rubbish. As much as the man has to express masculinity, the woman, they have their own strength as well, and that actually springs from being graceful. They have their different strengths. That's why I always say men and women are both strong, but our strengths are different. For instance, take a look at this video. Here's an example of how to be absolutely alpha. Now, this is a movie from Last Samurai movie, released in 2003, and this is a US general being captured by a samurai village because they attacked him, and samurai wanted to study the enemy. So he's captured in the village. He's not allowed to hold any weapons. Now this guy is holding a weapon. He's been asked to let go the weapon, but here he is refusing to do so. He just want to have a go. He get a beating straight to his belly, and samurai has been extremely conditioned martial artist. He get rid of the weapon in a matter of 2 seconds, and he pick up the weapon, gets up again, and challenge him. And this time he get a proper beating across his face, almost faintish, back on the earth again. By now he probably knows that he probably doesn't have a chance against this guy. Bleeding from his nose. Turn around, wait, it's raining. Nobody's there to support him or cheer him. He turns around with difficulty and picks up the weapon again, wobbly, going all directions and trying to go at this guy again. This time he gets a proper beating, falls straight face to the ground. Try to get up again, and he get humbled again, beating straight to his back. By now all his energy is gone, technically. But no, this is an alpha. He's going to utilize whatever the energy left with him, because that's what masculinity is. You're going to take the beating and go forward. Now this time he's completely gone. He's trying to beat him, and he doesn't want to let go with his weapon, and that comes straight to his face and end the scene. Now this is an example of becoming a real alpha. The alpha, one of the greatest characteristics is his ability to take a beating and move forward. So I see a lot of the leaders who think that they're leaders. They have a title: CEO, director, managing director, leader of the house, the party, whatever it is. But they're actually not leaders. Whatever the hell happened, they will just put excuses forward. They will not take the beating. They will complain. We can't do this because of this economy, because of this problem that we had, because of the government, because the authorities not supporting, because of the weather, because of the problem in my family. The real masculinity, a real alpha male, is someone who's going to take that beating, bleed, sweat and bleed, and move forward. Now this is what we call expressing masculinity, and expressing it positively in a way that is absolutely useful to society, to a corporate, to a family. So principle number 2, who are you in that environment? This is big one, guys, because people have identity. We all have identities. I'm someone like this. I'm someone from the south or the north or the east, the west. I only do this. We have this very limited personality that we create. Now that's not that's not how alpha male behave. They would adapt to the environment very quickly. Who are you in the environment? I'll give you an example. Back in the Himalayas, I was 19 and my coach was dying, so I had to airlift him. There's a whole drama that happened. I actually did a video, you can have a look at it. So, and then my coach is gone and I was suddenly left with the team who has no clue of where we are exactly and how to get back to Kathmandu, because we're in the middle of Himalayas. So I was pushed over the edge, and here I am, 19-year-old guy, have no comforts, out of all the comfort zones. We at that point, I remember one of my friends said, "Guy, this is the toughest sport on earth, because whatever the sport we do, we go home. We can play rugby, we can do boxing, we can do whatever. End of the day, we go into the hotel or the house. We have a room to sleep, and we have our morning tea, coffee, washroom. We have none of those things now. We are absolutely." Right, and I remember he asking me, like, whispered into my house, and also I have a question, but I've been having this for the last couple of days, like, do you think that we can go back? Do you think that we have the energy to go back? It actually haunted in my head as well, but I never actually acknowledged that. That's one of the thing being alpha, that you refuse the present situation and have absolute certainty that somehow that you're going to find a way. And we did find a way. I took the team all the way back to Kathmandu. Lots of drama happened in between as well. I lost the way. I forgot as one junction. I have no clue where to go, left or right. So many things happened. And then landed in Kathmandu, and I ran out of money because there's so many things happened out of our entire itinerary. And then my mother had to intervene, and she arranged tickets. She wanted to arrange tickets straight to Colombo, but I knew it's not going to go down well. I said, no, I don't want to come straight to Colombo. Let me just come to New Delhi. Train tickets were booked from New Delhi to Chennai, and then from Chennai to take a flight to Colombo. So we landed in New Delhi. Now there's a picture of me walking in the New Delhi airport with a thumbs up. Because that's the moment that I realized we are definitely not dying. We are actually gone past that zone, right? Because I'm at the comfort zone of my mother, basically, because New Delhi is like a second home to my mom. So that's how you become alpha. So the question probably pops up in your mind is, are you born as an alpha, or can you construct it? That depends on your driving force. There are 6 driving force that govern every human being, whether you're a man or a woman, and there are a couple of driving force that actually contribute to that. So that has to have a individual conversation. But either way, you have to do a lot of construction along the way for you to develop yourself as alpha male, a leader, a masculinity. You have to construct. See, the thing is, a lot of people have this belief that you are born with certain set of skills and certain set of knowledge, and that's it. The thing is, the moment you're born, everything is subject to change. You have the ability to transform yourself in so many different ways. You can construct yourself. Buddhism has clearly shown it, right? You can even construct your consciousness to the point that you're completely out from this entire cycle as well. So in that case, you can develop your character in either way that you prefer. So yes, you can construct yourself, but you need to understand your driving forces that behind you. That's a whole different subject. This brings me to the principle number 3, physical strength. Now, I can't talk about masculinity or being alpha without referring to physical strength, because there's something physically visible. And also, whatever you do, your strength, your energy is actually take part of it. Now, in this video itself, if I don't have my routines that I do, I did the priming. There's something called priming, which probably will share in the future, and the meditation, the exercises, etc. The energy level is going to go down. In fact, the team behind me always remind me of energy is not at that level. You need to up the game. So physical strength is absolutely important if you want to become alpha. How do you do that? Before that, you need to understand your history. See, we men are used to be hunters, not for some couple of thousands of years, but hundreds of thousands of years. That has been the sole occupation and the responsibility as a man. So we used to run, sprint, climb, swim, attack, wrestle, kill, carry, lift big loads, heavy loads for miles and miles to provide back to our families. That's in our genetics, in our anatomy, in our system, hard-coded. Now, for the last 30 to 40 years, the world has gone in a whole different shift. Things have become so easy. I remember, actually, to be honest, compare to England and Sri Lanka, because those are the 2 countries I lived. In London, there's underground, it's called the Tube. It's an incredible transport system for sure. But when you come out of it, a lot of ground that you need to cover. You need to walk a lot. So we have checked, we easily do 10,000 steps. Men and women easily do 10,000 steps around London, because you're always walking. There are no tuk-tuks. You're always walking. And the system is good. The city is very seamlessly connected. So the pedestrian terrestrial routes are all perfect, so you can do that. But the point is they do walk a lot. But in urban cities, some Sri Lanka, when was the last time you walked 1 kilometer? You always take a tuk-tuk. That trend wasn't there about 25 years ago. People would get off from the train, they would walk about 1.5 kilometers, I've seen, or take a buses, but most of the time they walk. So the whole mobility has dropped a lot. For a man, it's actually terrible. It's actually detrimental for your personality and for your ability to execute, show your energy and your resilience in a time of adversity. That's why you need to work out, you need to do exercises. So this whole genetics, actually I have also seen this whole testosterone boost and the adrenaline backfires on as well if you don't work out. I have myself experienced that. If I don't work out for 3-4 days, I can see it's backfiring all over. You feel like doing cheap shit like watching Netflix and spend time. A lot of people do various other things, get addicted to substances and probably play PlayStation for hours and hours, so get carried away with cheap entertainment because you don't know how to control these things happening. Try to find this whole greatness, the masculine, by cheap means. That's why you need to work out. And I used to say 10-15 years ago, any form of workout is good, which is obviously absolutely. But now I've come to the realization the most superior form of all workouts is lifting weights. Whether you are a sportsman, whether you are a yoga person, whether you are whatever you painter, whatever the thing you do, man, woman, is absolutely important that you lift weights in some form, because nothing gives that boost for testosterone, nothing gives that channel, the testosterone channel to like when you are lifting weights. And also it gives the energy to builds your anatomy, muscle strength, and build muscles. If you think that I don't want to go to gym, lifting is not my thing, I think you have a wrong concept. What you always see is these big, really big, heavy bodybuilders, right? Who can't even walk, can't even move. This is one of the things that a lot of the gyms do incorrectly. Wherever the gym that you go, you see these big posters of Arnold Schwarzenegger or someone like him. You don't see anybody like that inside of the gym, right? So I lift pretty heavy. I will never become like that because there's a way to do that. For you to become like that, you need to do loads of things off the gym when it comes to nutrition and supplement wise. So don't worry, you're not going to become like some sort of bees who are unattractive. You're not going to become like that. You actually become your greatest self. Your structure, you build to your maximum of your structure, which is very attractive, and more than attractive, it's very useful because it shows from your energy, and your energy channels perfectly. And whatever the sports you do, I would recommend you to do something that is really challenging to you. Okay, that's why I remember when I was playing cricket, I was a very good cricketer. I played with some of the national players who played for the national team. But I remember my relatives are saying cricket is not the best sport for him. This guy has too much of energy. Put him to rugby. So he'll be knocked out by the time he's home. So you need to find a sport that is physically challenging to you. That'll improve your muscle strength and channel all these hormones in a positive way as well. So physical strength, absolutely important. Obviously, this has a big part to do with nutrition as well. I'm not going to touch base there because it's going to be a very, very long video. But the thing is, when you're working out, you will experience this. If you have a proper workout regime, it's difficult to put junk in your mouth because you already have serotonin, endorphins running through your body. You feel good. It's called the feel-good factor, the happy hormones circulating in your body. We look for junk. We look for excessive sweet. You don't actually have the urge to go for this excessive overly sugary food if you're actually working out. So it's gonna extremely complimentary when you're working out. I want you to experience and see for yourself. If you're someone who's just been walking, if you're a man and the exercise that you're doing walking, man up and go to the gym, start lifting weight. Get a trainer because you're gonna get injured if you've never been to a gym, if you don't know the proper techniques. Even if you know, I'll highly recommend you to get a trainer at least for 4 weeks or at least for 2-3 months, because by now I know all sorts of workouts in the gym, but I still get injured myself that one moment that I did something stupid without my trainer. So it's important to have someone, okay? So physical strength is important. And then this brings me to the last principle of how to be masculine, how to project your masculinity or becoming alpha positively. Compassion. You need to wrap yourself around with compassion and kindness. Maybe it's sort of a shock that you're listening to this, because I very rarely see in the videos that talk about alpha male and masculinity talking about compassion and kindness. They actually got it wrong. It's actually incomplete if you don't talk about it. Because take a look at some of the known figures in the history of mankind. Let's say a bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is absolutely and utterly an alpha. He is a rebellious character. See, the thing is, the stories that you read about Bodhisattva and the stories that you hear in especially in Sri Lankan society, stories that you see about Bodhisattva in the books, and the thing that you hear from the forest retreat monks, etc. And the stories that you hear in our household are completely contrasting. What do you say in Sri Lanka? We say he's a boy like a bodhisattva and a bodhisattva kagelame, meaning that he's very, very quiet and in a corner and completely unchallenging, someone like that. But if you see the stories you read, it's completely rebellious characters who actually go upstream, challenging the systems and challenges the norm, questioning them. And it's such a alpha position for sure, because you have to go upstream. So it's a very contrasting concept that you have. Again, as the one way majority of the Buddhists in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asian countries, they got one thing completely wrong. The one character that could have empowered them, they actually got it in a wrong way. But these bodhisattvas, these characters, are completely centralized around compassion. They do everything because of the great good, the great compassion, the kindness. We take characters like Jesus Christ. Again, alpha. He knew he was going to get crucified. He got crucified, but he never backed off from his mission, right? But completely centralized on love and kindness. Krishna waged a war, it says in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita's entire story is about a war, but about complete love and kindness. And we move forward to the modern day personalities like Nelson Mandela, for instance. They imprisoned him for 20-something years, got out of the prison. He didn't go running around taking revenge. He's absolute alpha. Changed the society, changed the norm, but with lots of love and kindness. Mahatma Gandhi, absolute alpha, but absolutely and totally lived a life of kindness and compassion. So without that, guys, it's incomplete. Without that, you will never get a following. You'll never convince people. You'll never have people's popularity. You'll never be attractive. So as a result, in any moment of weakness, they will kick you out of the throne. Okay, so kindness is absolutely important. So that brings me to the end of this video. This is not an exhaustive list. I can go on for another few hours of talking about this biological, psychological factors, the case studies, etc. But I want to share this and give it a start for someone who's thinking, if you're a teenage, use these principles and understand the driving forces. If you have this urge, if you have this temptation, that driving force that you want to become like that, incorporate these principles and use it for better use. We need alpha, we need masculinity for our country to go to a developed stage, your corporate, your society, your family to go forward from this economic downturn to great heydays that we are actually looking forward to. We need these men. So harness them, support them, contribute to develop these kind of personalities. It's going to be a lot of good for us. So I'll speak to you again in another video. Until then, live with spirit. So my name is Randeni. I'm a leadership coach, I'm a business coach, and a sports performance coach. So welcome to my channel.